Hey Algebra 1, so today we'll be reviewing for our test. I'll be going through some sample problems, giving you a test review that you need to do for the test. Then next class we'll have the optional live meet if you need to get some help. If you want to go over extra practice problems. Let me see, I have a light here, I can turn that on. That helps. And then that means our test will be on Monday or Tuesday, depending on your class. So that's when we'll actually take the test in class, like we did last time. Now, that also means if you guys are thinking about retaking the previous test, retakes need to be done before we do this next test. So just a heads up on that. If you still haven't done a retake and you want to from the last test, you have to get that going before we do our next one. So today we'll review, go through some sample problems. Next class we'll meet about the review if you guys have questions, and then we'll test the following class. So for our problems, basically this whole chapter was on solving quadratics. And we learned basically 4 different ways, really just 3, but we're going to use 4 different methods to solve quadratics this chapter. Last chapter we learned solving by factoring, but I'm not going to test on that because we already tested on those. So there's going to be 4 different types of problems I'm going to go through here with you. I'll try to stick kind of in order if that's helpful. So in the first few sections, 10.1 to 10.3, we learned how to graph quadratics, so we solve by graphing. So that's our first type. So you will have to be able to graph a quadratic and then find how to solve that. Now, for solving, by graphing, we're looking for the x-intercepts. So those are the points on the x-axis. And so when we do this, we're going to get the equation equal to 0 to begin with. Then, so that has to, should equal 0. That should be step 1. Step 2 would be list A, B, and C. Step 3 would be to find the vertex. And that's x equals negative b over 2 times a. That's the x coordinate of the vertex. And then we find the y by substituting it back in. Then we make a table of values. And then once we have that table, we should see where the graph crosses the axis. Now, especially on the test, make sure you're showing me all these steps. A lot of you in your homework were only showing me maybe just the graph and then the solutions. I need to see this table. If I know that you guys are doing this by your own work, I need to see that table. So we'll do an example of solving by graphing. So let me get an example here up for myself. So we are going to solve by graphing. So it's already equal to 0, so we don't have to worry about that step. We're going to list what the A, B, and C are. So in this case, the A is just 1. It's whatever is in front of the x squared. That's just 1. B is 8, and C is 16. Once I know that, then I need to find our vertex. So I'm going to do negative b over 2 times a. So negative 8, opposite of b, so negative 8 over 2 times a, which is just 1. So my x coordinate, my vertex, is a negative 4. Oops. So I need to find the y coordinate by putting this back into this equation. So I'm going to do negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 16. So it'll be 16 minus 32 plus 16. Well, this one's kind of a strange one. This one ends up being 0, is the vertex. I forgot this one did that. So when I go to graph this, I'm going to put my vertex at negative 4, 0 on the graph. In this case, it actually also happens to be an x-intercept, so that actually ends up being my solution as well. So kind of if I was solving my graphing, I'd be done. The answer would be negative 4. But just to kind of practice, I still want to show you guys the table of values, because like I said, a lot of you missed that when we were doing the homework. So negative 4, 0 is going to go in the center of my table of values, my vertex, because everything else is centered around this point. So I'm going to use that point as my center. I'm going to pick points on either side of that. Now when I do that, I have to again substitute these values back into the original equation to find the y coordinate. So if I put negative 3 in, negative 3 squared, so this will be 9 minus 24 plus 16. 9 and 16 is 25, minus 24 is 1. So negative 3, 1 is another point. Now there's symmetry here, so whatever happens on this side should also happen on this side. So if that's 1, this is also 1. Now I'm going to try negative 2 or 6. We'll do negative 6 just so I don't have enough space there. So this is 52 minus 48, so that's going to end up being 4. And again, there's symmetry, so 4. So negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then negative 6, 4. So there's our parabola. And again, if I was looking for my solution, it's the x-intercept. So there's only one in this case. So the solution would be x equals negative 4 if I was solving this. But I will in the test ask you to do some graphing like this without having to do any solving maybe. So just being comfortable with the graphing that comes with that as well. So we still have 2 more methods. We learned quadratic formula and also solving by square roots. So I am going to stop the video now and finish up with those in a second. So this is just one of our 3 types. This one covers 10.1 to 10.3.